Greetings, it is I, Director of Arketer Labs, live on call with one Froman, and possibly someone else at some point, maybe. I don't know. Most people I would have invited were seemingly offline at the time. I'll make do. I hope you're all doing well, and your weekends are going smoothly thus far. What? You might be hearing that bell. That's connection interruption. Brief, fleeting connection interruption lasting just long enough to really piss me off. Please bear with me. Greetings in chat to Nexus Hunter, Octane Junkie, K-Show, Bernie B, anyone else who's just sitting there judging me silently. It's fine though. It's fine. Everything's fine so far. Anyway. Provided I keep moving forward. Any case, one of the first things I want to touch upon is something that got mentioned over the last SRS. Namely, well, this piece. WEF's terrifying new mission calls for AI to write unifying new Bible to create religions that are actually correct. The World Economic Forum has once again faced backlash from conservatives and Christians. As senior advisor Yuval Noah Harari recently proposed the concept of an AI-generated new Bible to establish unified and correct religions. The idea has raised concerns among Christians, and quite frankly, anyone, really. The establishment of an AI cult is something that has surely been done, but to have such money thrown behind it is a bothersome concept. Harari, author and prominent figure at the World Economic Forum, and the most true living definition of a mad fucking scientist, complete basket case, and I do mean that by the definition I go by, which doesn't apply to me. The things I do, insofar as I do them, typically work. They don't make the world a worse place. At no point anything will I have done, not even Arketer Labs' worst day, will result in some sort of colossal dystopia. Pretty sure about that anyway. Whereas when it comes to Mr. Harari, nothing he intends to do can possibly result in what he intends to achieve. Not at all. Everyone feels pretty happy. No. I reject your assertions. And that's all I can do, because I'm not going to prove anything, because I don't have to, and you can't make me. So I have to say, though, I didn't prove anything regarding the other stations. I've also, revealed something else, but that's fleeting. That's fine. Look, I'm phoning it in. I don't have to wear socks or actual shoes, but the pants are obligatory. And sadly, Froman is supposed to be obligatory. Oh, but might not be. Actually, I should do a quick test. Yes, the audio output is incorrect, so they haven't heard a word you said. What a shame that
and all your Tootsie pics and stuff like that. Although then again, I guess, you having an improper audio setup, that is kind of par for the course with the show. What did I say about idiocracy again?
For what it's worth, I'm not... Well, I could potentially lead, but I don't necessarily elect to. It's neither here nor there. In any case, getting back to this particular mad scientist, Harari, an author and prominent figure, actual mad scientist of the World Economic Forum, contended that AI possesses the capacity to generate new ideas, distinguish it from the previous technological advancements such as the printing press or broadcasting media. More accurately, it has the ability to put old ideas into a massive blender and then spit out combinations at close to random. which is pretty damn cool in its own right. I could pull up Stable Diffusion right now to run some examples, but it's not quite that.
Stephen Hawking playing Pokemon with Rick and Morty.
I can probably make that happen ever so briefly, just long enough to really piss me off. Now, going on, according to a report from Say News, Harari explained AI's role in writing a new Bible. It's the first technology that never can create new ideas. You know, the printing press, radio, television, the broadcast. They spread the ideas created by human brain, by human mind, he said during a forum called AI and the Future of Humanity.
Okay, and AI's new Bible, I believe that's called The Matrix.
These are the sort of people who would have created something like that. Only not as well, because it's them, and not a competent AI. They cannot create a new idea. And neither can actually the AI. That's fine. You know.
Wait. Was that a joke at the Wachowski sisters now, I guess, but was that a joke at them or at the AI? It works either way.
I'm just going to leave it there. To answer your question, IT Junkie, it's not your internet that's cutting out, it's mine is. Ever so briefly. Now and again, randomly, fleetingly, just long enough to really anger me. Moving on. You know, Johannes Gutenberg printed the Bible in the middle of the 15th century. The printing press printed as many copies of the Bible as Gutenberg instructed it. Age, he continued. Good, bad, how to interpret this, how to interpret that. The ultimate goal of the globalists in creating new ideas. It can even write a new Bible. He further dreamt about having a book written by a superhuman intelligence, by a non-human entity. In a few years, there might be religions that are actually correct. Just think about a religion whose holy book is written by an AI. That could be reality in a few years.
Did anyone else see the fedora tip?
Fedora.
There may be religions that are actually correct. Tips fedora.
Oh, it does sound like that. And fortunately, he doesn't wear a fedora. Apparently, that would cover up that horrifying cue ball of his. Any case, greetings, Jinxie. Anyone else who snuck in when I wasn't looking. Notably, it doesn't just have to be me and Furman. Guests are lurking. They can. I'll consider additions.
Ark hasn't paid his internet bill, and now they're shorting him on his
technical difficulties. It's not in my hand.
Internet costs like what? Maybe $100 a month if you're getting the good stuff. You're fine, Ark. You know, maybe you just gotta whip out those tassels if you're that short on money.
It's funding related. To be fair, a new war over religion might actually be a refreshing change of pace from the garden variety proxy wars we keep wasting money on. I can't back that one because that's what humanity spent centuries doing cyclically, ostensibly for those reasons, but as usual, mostly just in pursuit of the ass-hatted interests of the self-imagined nobility. And publicly declared nobility, and the recognized nobility, the titled, the landed, the absolutely insufferable parasites on all of human culture. We now know them as the government. But they've always been about robber barons cemented in place. Christians would already argue they possess a book written by a non-human entity with superior intelligence. The Bible's stated author is the creator of the universe. Harari and his fellow globalists, on the other hand, seek a more contemporary approach. He suggests that AI could write a new Bible or other religious texts offering the prospect of religions aligned with globalism and presumably more receptive to modern perspectives on sexuality and gender. This is not the first time he's expressed disdain for scripture, calling it an ancient predecessor. Any capacity for sponsorship. In fact, almost no one has.
That
I mean,
explains
there's one
productivity
potential
issues.
possible. I afford 500 for no pants. Look, if you don't want it on camera, that I can. I don't like this. No, no. I'm not that desperate for money. It's fine. I'm not desperate at all. I'm
Fund
fine.
Ark's
Everything's
internet.
fine. I'm not going to agree to 500 for no pants because that'll be necessary to prove it, and I'm not proving it.
For
I only
every
prove I have pants
500
on,
megabits
not pants
that
off.
Ark gets to his internet, he's going to remove an article of clothing.
Absolutely not. Curiously, the Israeli Times reported Harari's words as a warning that this deranged cue ball was warning that AI could be used to write a new, true religion. But I really have to wonder about people who buy that. Harari has so many quotes where he tells you exactly what he's up to, and all of it is just a really, 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 really bad idea. Let's move on to this. Furman ambushed me with a legal document, which I had absolutely no idea how we were going to read on, but since he joined the call this time, he was able to explain to me what he meant. This is a legal document pertaining to a case of harassment on a flight. Do you want to... You said to read this like an SCP file. Furman, does that mean you want to trade off on paragraphs?
Nah. If you want, I'll go through it. Expect it to be written or read terribly.
I think at the very least we should... At the very least, we should alternate in that case. Starting with probable cause, on March 8th, 2023, at approximately 3:53 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Croizat boarded American Airlines Flight 1192 from Bridgetown, BGI, Barbados, to Miami International Airport in Miami.
So this man is
Florida.
a Florida man. That's the important thing here. Approximately 1 hour and 54 minutes into the flight, Croizat caused a disturbance on the flight by getting out of his assigned seat and approaching the flight attendant, or FA. Flight attendant 1. According to the information provided by flight attendant 1, Croizat told flight attendant 1 that he was a shitty flight attendant and should have addressed him in a better way when giving him choices for his meal. At this point, flight attendant 2, FA2, observed Croizat shouting at FA1. According to FA2, during the exchange, Croizat admitted to flight attendant 1 that he had 2 drinks during the flight. At this time, Croizat turned to flight attendant 2. What, you want to call the captain? And according to flight attendant 2, aggressively demanding and loudly ordered flight attendants to get the captain out here. Flight attendant 1 and flight attendant 2 told Croizat to sit back according to the information they provided to law enforcement, but he refused to comply and continued to ask for the captain.
By the way, greetings and farewell, brain shatter. As you drop by, yes, the news is indeed still broken, and will remain broken. It is, as mentioned previously, completely unfixable. Moving on. 6. During this altercation, Croizat touched the flight attendant, FA3, according to information provided by FA3 to law enforcement. When FA3 told Croizat not to touch her, he pushed her twice, according to FA3. Law enforcement obtained video of this part of the altercation from a passenger where Croizat can be seen making contact with FA3 twice on the shoulder. Near that moment, FA3 called the captain of the flight. Captain?
Could have just said captain and everyone would have known what they were talking about. It's not like they started on a plane and then halfway through, oh, we're now in the middle of a pirate ship singing a sea shanty.
I assume they just assume that all legal staff are barely intelligent enough to reliably breathe for themselves, which doesn't necessarily seem ill-advised. Croizot continued to persist in being belligerent and non-compliant, according to FA3. While on the phone with the captain, FA3 informed a passenger the flight attendants needed help because of the disturbance.
Shortly thereafter, Flight Attendant 2 was standing in front of the cockpit and told Croizot to sit down. According to Flight Attendant 2, Croizot refused to comply and pushed Flight Attendant 2, breaking clear against the door. And according to Flight Attendant 2, while, according to Flight Attendant 2, passengers told Croizot to sit down, but Croizot refused and continued to be disruptive. Finally, a passenger lifted Croizot and placed him in his seat in an attempt to restrain him, causing wine to spill. According to Flight Attendant 2, explained to law enforcement.
Croizot remained in his seat for the rest of the flight, continuing to complain to the flight attendants about the way he was treated. FA2 placed her cot between the cockpit and the cabin to keep Croizot from making further attempts to contact the captain in the cockpit.
The captain called air traffic control to report the incident during the flight. Incoming air traffic control that there was an attempted breach of the cockpit. The captain further informed air traffic control. The passenger was restrained at this point. The captain then instructed passengers on the flight to remain seated and put their seatbelt sign on in the cabinet. Approximately 6:49 p.m., plane landed in MIA, and law enforcement removed Croizot from the flight. I like how the plane landed in MIA. It's like missing in action. just little things like that.
Miami.
It's just Florida. This is Florida man becomes airborne.
That happens. It keeps happening.
And with a name like Croizot, he sounds like he's, like a villain of the week on like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Meanwhile, Octane Junkie, that's precisely why it is thoroughly broken and remains unfixable. Because that is largely what it is. Speaking of state co-opted propaganda, bloke gets locked up Amazon account and has all his home security disabled after delivering driver mistakes an automated message saying, "Excuse me, can I help you?" as a racial slur. We have a offered video on this point, which I'm going to experimentally play now. And hesitantly, because I don't like playing videos.
I hope you're having a lovely day. Today, I would like to go over reason number 80 million that you should not be having stuff in your house connect to Amazon servers for things like critical infrastructure, whether it is your camera systems, your doorbell, or any part of your home. This comes from Mr. Brandon Jackson. It says, on Wednesday, May 31st, 2023, I finally regained access to my Amazon account after an unexpected and unwarranted lockout that lasted about a week from Thursday, May 25th. This wasn't just a simple inconvenience. I have a smart home.
Yeah, I'm going to stop right there. If your home is smart, you are not. There's very little that constitutes your home that needs to be smart. And certainly less still, that needs to be connected to the internet and any terrifying megacorp. In fact, there's a lot that was automatically, obligatorily connected to that regardless. In fact, trying not to have your systems connected to some terrifying megacorp network is really a bit of a challenge if you look into it. To lean into it and wire up everything to, say, an Amazon account, it's not very bright. It's incredibly naive at best. I'm not condemning, but I am judging. Just lobotomize your homes now if you have a smart one. It's not that smart anyway. Make it fully inanimate soonest.
And my primary method of interfacing with all the devices and automations is through Amazon Echo devices via Alexa. The incident left me with a house full of unresponsive devices, a silent Alexa, and a lot of questions. The sequence of events that led to this digital exile began innocuously enough. A package was delivered to my house on Wednesday, May 24th, and everything seemed fine. The following day, however, I found that my Echo Show had signed out, and I was unable to interact with my smart home devices. My initial assumption was that somebody might have attempted to access my account repeatedly, triggering a lockout. I use a fairly old email address for my Amazon account, and it's plausible that an old password might have been exposed in a past data breach. However, I currently use strong auto-generated passwords via Apple and employ two-factor authentication with an authenticator app, so unauthorized access seemed unlikely. I swiftly checked my other accounts, social media, streaming, etc., to ensure that I hadn't been compromised.
Okay, I decided I hate this. It's entirely too meta. I'm a guy who reads articles on YouTube as well. Watching another guy reading articles on YouTube is too meta, and furthermore, I'm jealous of his chair. That thing looks terribly comfortable.
That's not meta. That's just, like a 2016
redundant
video. I mean, the very fact that you brought in that awareness is meta, but the fact that, you're doing
more
it,
just redundant.
That's like 90% of YouTube right there. It's far more people, talking about other people doing things than people actually doing things.
Enough recursivity. We're moving on. Suffice to say, really dumb. I don't have kitties, Tom Leach. Welcome, by the way. I have rats. Intentionally, not an accident. It's not like there's some infestation around here. But I do. Their images are available. They will not be shown here. I've been wondering how I should present them on YouTube, try to corner that internet pet haver demographic, but I just can't quite don't really pull the trigger on it.
Get some miniatures and say you're genetically modifying super rats and
not that I would do such a thing. We're just going to move on. Suffice to say, Amazon account, some random delivery guy misheard an ostensible smart device say a slur, and they shut down his entire not-so-smart house accordingly. Watch Florida thief burglars. Okay. News break is broken, so we're just going to skip that one. How about a story time? Am I the asshole for suing my ex? Did you see this one, Fruman?
I do listen to their podcast, but I don't necessarily know the specific thing, because that's a pretty generic title.
Oh yes, it is very soon. Okay, well then, let me know when you are sure there's a new one. I used to live with my now ex-boyfriend, I'll just call him Rick, and his dad. And his dad owns the house. So Rick started acting emotionally distant when he started working full-time and wouldn't open up to me, and instead just started drinking and sleeping all the time. So I started hanging out with his dad, and one thing led another, and ended up regularly having sex with his dad, and now he's found out, and he's acting super mature about the entire thing and refusing to accept any responsibility that it was him being emotionally out of whack that pushed me into this in the first place. He said he wanted to leave me then and there, but his dad said I can stay, so he left. Greetings, Gemini. Welcome. Moving on. He said he wanted me to leave then and there, but his dad said I could stay, so he left. I feel that I deserve something for sticking with him in that relationship and suffering the emotional trauma that he's put me through, that it's still affecting me even today, given we were together for almost 4 years, and he just got up and left. Notably, he just got up and left after she, well, we know where this is going. His dad agrees with me that he's being a dick and super immature about this, and he's surprised that Rick could change so quickly, and said that he'd back me 100% if I decided to pursue anything legally. We lived together in a relationship for almost 4 years, so I think that should count as common law marriage. I know it wouldn't. other countries. His dad sports 100%.
Mm,
And when I told a friend
Just
what
because-
happened with me and Rick, she'd agreed with me as well, and said the same as some men today are so childish about these things and can't have relationships. However, Rick's brother called me yesterday asking what's going on, and when I tried to explain everything to him, he called me a quote-unquote fucking whore and said, quote-unquote, I hope you feel fucking ashamed of yourself, and just hung up. TLDR, me and his dad have filed a suit and we're going to be in court next Monday. I want to know if I'm the asshole before then. So, you might reasonably guess that they were largely found to be the asshole.
Well, so, it's you're sleeping with someone's father, or with your boyfriend, fiance, whatever the situation was, father, and then you're thinking, oh, it's common law marriage because it would be in other countries. That doesn't mean anything.
No. And Tom H, for the record, I don't believe this is necessarily a real story either. See, this is the internet. Anyone can make up anything.
It
But
totally is.
I've seen a few first-hand cases where
I bet, Dad.
agency is something for other people to deal with. I do something bad, it's not my fault. You do something bad, well, what I did was because of what you did, therefore I am blameless. There are way too many of those, which is why I can't write this off as certainly did not happen. Boy, I wish I was still that naive. No, I don't. Never mind. Well, what's your take on this, Drummond?
Gay.
Yep. German surgeon fired after getting hospital cleaner to assist amputation. This comes from incredibly shady backroom news source, the Associated Press. Berlin. Officials at a hospital in Western Germany have expressed regret after it emerged that one of the surgeons got a cleaner to assist in a toe amputation. Public broadcaster SWR reported Friday that the incident at the Mainz University Hospital, which happened in 2020, didn't result in any complications to the patient, but the doctor has since been fired. The hospital's chief executive, Norbert Pfeiffer, Norbert Pfeiffer. Said the surgeon wrongly decided to go ahead with the routine procedure even though no qualified assistant was available, SWR reported. When the patient, who had received local anesthetic, became restless, the doctor asked a nearby cleaner to hold the man's leg and pass surgical instruments, according to a local daily Mainziger Allgemeine Zeitung. The paper reported the cleaner had no medical experience. The incident came to light after a hospital manager spotted the cleaner, bloody gauze pads still in hand, in the operating theater, it reported. I'm sorry, what was the terrible thing with the cleaner here? Besides the fact that the cleaner was not being adequately paid for their services? And shouldn't the hospital be in some measure of hot water for not having qualified assistants on hand to perform such a procedure? And what? Norbert Pfeiffer.
Norbert
Pfeiffer.
That is just the greatest, oh, you feel bad for the kid in middle school.
Well, this is why they became a hospital administrator, to get their revenge. To wait for that day when the bully comes in with a broken leg and they get to write denied on the paperwork.
And they shall know that their suffering was caused by Norbert Pfeiffer.
The vengeance of all horrible hospital administrators, all Norbert Pfeiffers of the world. There's no other reason for them to be there.
They're either destined to become like a Machiavellian James Bond villain, or just Ralph Wiggum's father, which I know is Officer Wiggum. But you get my point.
Yeah. And in the ongoing global effort to turn us all into weak, fragile little children, a Subway ad for a Glasgow restaurant featuring Michelangelo's David is censored over nudity. Yes, poster showed Renaissance sculpture holding slice of pizza with phrase, "It doesn't get more Italian." They changed it because apparently a significant portion of the audience who saw it couldn't stop staring at Michelangelo's tiny dick. It was just too distracting. How could they possibly focus on the pizza when there's dick right there? It kind of tells you what they really want to put in their mouths, doesn't it? Any case. They love a macaroni and cheese pie, but according to advertising giants, the vision of Michelangelo's David in the buff is too much to stomach for Glaswegians. An Italian restaurant in Scotland's biggest city has been forced to change its adverts featuring world-renowned sculpture after the ad business called Media Group blocked them because of David's nudity. I don't think Count Dankfield would necessarily argue with me if I said that Scotland needs to be shut down and started over.
No, he's still pretty patriotic. Although he is a Hoppian, so.
I think, as a patriotic Scotsman, he should agree that Scotland needs to be shut down and start over.
They might, or what? He'll require a Stuart to become the new king.
He'd be a good king. I'm pretty sure he'd be a fantastic king.
He is not a Stuart.
I don't care. The blood lineages are an inane, arbitrary... No, I don't believe they are in any way superior. Never have.
And that's exactly why Dankfield would not agree with you.
Well, he might feel they're superior, but...
Doesn't matter if they're superior. It's just how it's run there.
That's
how
not good enough.
The royal family is. Everyone
You
knows
know,
it. They're still the royal family.
Yeah, actually, I saw a very interesting video that nailed down precisely how inbred King Charles is. Now, I was so certain Queen Elizabeth was going to outlive him, just out of sheer spite. She almost did it. I mean, you've seen that man. He's a swollen corpse still moving, much like the President of the United States. And
that
no, I'm
be the
really...
case no matter who it was.
The poster showed the Renaissance sculpture holding slice pizza phrase, "It doesn't get more Italian." Global runs the marketing space under its outdoor advertising vision. The media group is well known for its portfolio. Full reprint of the adverts for the sculpture cropped to the waist was then required for the posters to be displayed on the subway. Mario Jizzy!
Yeah?
Director of DRG Group, which runs Barlow and several other restaurants in Scotland, told the Glasgow Herald, "This is a globally recognized piece of art. It is taught in schools. People from all the world travel to see it. It's not the 1500s anymore. It's 2023. Are we really saying the people of Glasgow can't handle seeing a naked statue? Morello is all about Italy's..."
You said it earlier in the article. They're wanting the meat lovers. That's their target audience.
So, being raised from birth, be a good, educated, moral leader. Sorry, that was very distracting. I blame Tom Leach. But there was cheering too, so thank you. Just for those interruptions, which are really chafing. Any case, I'm with Mario Jizzy here. Moving on. From one really annoying topic to another. Time travel. It's a pity we don't have Nerdy Road, Screen Badge Outdoors, and Lippy discuss time travel in the chat, where they have various very interesting hypotheses that I don't put any stock in, because no one knows anything that they can't prove, and no one can prove anything about time travel except for me, in that it doesn't work even in fiction. never works. Save, of course, for moving forward in time, which apparently, if you're
time
going,
has to be at least two-dimensional, and given the specific fact that it's curved, that what's the term? The eccentricity of it, we need to be able to calculate. And so, if we calculate the eccentricity of it, then we can essentially time travel if it's high enough, which would be based entirely on relativity.
see, now this is all hypotheses and conjecture. I'm not going to buy that until it's demonstrated. And quite frankly, I could imagine that it's entirely possible to slow time, maybe even to speed it up. But to go backwards, I don't think so. I think you will sooner stop it, but it will never go back.
One could argue quantum physics is actually a case of time travel.
And one could argue that they're full of shit and it's all wrong.
Well, not necessarily, because going off of Einstein's theory of relativity, once you surpass the speed of light, you start dealing with imaginary numbers, and that imaginary number, or what it should be rather called a lateral number, is actually turns out to be vital for quantum mechanics. And so, maybe quantum mechanics, it's all deterministic. It's just deterministic on a hyper time basis, which requires looking at things in the future to determine things that are happening in the present.
Nike's impact on the shoe world has seemingly traversed through time. Over the weekend, the athletic giant went viral yet again, this time for a humorous representation of an antique painting by Dutch artist Ferdinand Bol. The brand's white swoosh logo was evidently seen on a pair of low-heeled black shoes worn in namesake 1652 portrait of Frederick Sliskin, the second cousin of Bol's wife.
I want to point out that, of course, when it comes to time travel, you just do it.
No. Well, actually, that's technically true. Again, only forward. We're all traveling through time into the future.
Then how do you explain little baby Shia LaBeouf up here? The actual cannibal Shia LaBeouf.
I meant to play that last SRS. I missed that song.
It's a good one.
As Nike was founded in 1964, it's possible that Suskin actually was wearing a pair of the brand shoes. However, the humorous connection did seem to now have visitors visit the painting when it was previously on display in the gallery. Namely, they think that is the Nike check. No. Once again, no stock in this whatsoever. But I have a strange compulsion to punch that kid. Probably because it's an article relating to time travel, and it is nothing more than maybe a streak of bird crap on his shoe.
You're a streak of bird crap on a shoe.
Assassin the Grey. I'm going to write a very strongly worded letter to the IT department. Later. Again, greetings, Assassin the Grey.
To the what department? The RT, like the FART department?
No, IT.
Oh,
I.
they're gonna. Oh, okay. So the It Crowd, got it.
I don't believe I've read this one before, but if any of you recognize this, please feel free to stop me. Teen hospitalized after injecting himself with mercury in an attempt to become X-Man hero.
I mean, it's like the kid who survived being stung by 400 bees by pretending to be Vegeta going to Super Saiyan Form 3.
Well, that's childish stupidity put in a good direction. This is childish stupidity in a bad direction with much worse parents. Still, as bad as it is, just let your kids stare at Dragon Ball Z episodes.
Dragon Ball Z was fine.
Yeah. Look, when I was a wee lad. I might have agreed with you. But then I remembered exactly how many hours I spent watching cartoons scream at each other before anything ever actually happens. How many episodes do you need to sit through Goku charging up a spirit bomb before you just go, get on with it already? Personally, I feel that one of the best things that was ever done on this point were abridged series. If I've offended any Lifetime fans, too bad.
A lot of that could be said about this show too.
True, but I'm not going to make you wait a week to finish a sentence or an article.
Now I just can't finish this.
Not obligated to. And if that was a painting of a young actress, yes. But Fruit Punch. Moving on. From Lad Bible and the Lad Bible team, I think we've all thought before what it'd be like to have superhero powers. And this one lad really needed to answer that what if question. In 2014, a then teenage boy injected himself with mercury in an attempt to give himself superpowers. The then 15-year-old boy is said to have wanted to emulate the X-Men superhero Mercury, but instead ended up with painful ulcers that refused to heal.
Who hasn't done that in their lifetime?
Okay. I suppose I can confess that in Children Are Stupid moments, yes, I was a stupid child at one point, and I did, in my stupid childhood, consider that maybe if I got into the sewer, I would find the Ninja Turtles. Fortunately, I was never actually stupid enough to try it. I was just stupid enough to consider it. That's
You
quite
were a
bad.
child in New York.
No. We're up to 11 likes. Thank you for informing me. I trust you to inform me much more than I trust YouTube.
Sorry, just the thought of like a little Arketer, like same size head, it's just like a little chibi Arketer diving into the sewers while yelling "Cowabunga!" The facial hairs and goggles are still there too. Like it's just a little arc with aw.
I'm so glad that I'm the one with stable diffusion iteration and not you.
I mean, I can just make it.
Yes, but it wouldn't be as cool. In any case,
I mean, can it be like a proper animation with like a little sploosh and sound effects and all that shiznits?
back to the misadventures of Dirt Boy. He is also reported to have allowed spiders to bite him in the hopes that he could become like Spider-Man. Fortunately, he didn't have access to a nuclear reactor or even any radioactive waste, although I'm sure he looked. The unusual case was written up in a
In through the nose, out through the mouth. In through the nose, out through the mouth.
The usual case read up in a report by the National Center for Biotechnology Information, which dealt with the injuries that the unnamed child was left with after he deliberately injected mercury into his body. The report states the boy visited a trauma center in India with multiple non-healing ulcers on the left forearm 2 months following trauma by a sharp object. Medics suspected the substance abuse may have been a factor, and so carried out a psychiatric evaluation. An IQ test might have been more revealing. At this stage, the youngster revealed that he had intentionally injected himself with mercury. He managed to get out of the thermometer at least 3 times. The report goes on to say the boy was inspired by the Marvel character Mercury from the X-Men comics franchise, while also mentioning a film entitled X-Men Wolverine, most likely 2009's X-Men Origins Wolverine. It added, interestingly, he had a past history of multiple bites by spiders to simulate Spider-Man. Surprisingly, he had no other psychiatric problems and had normal IQ. Well, that blows me away.
Well, I should also point out that like mercury actually lowers your IQ, so he probably had above average. This dropped it down.
Wow.
Oh, there's
Them-
also like
Them parents failed that boy. Wow.
well,
Now
look,
over the... go on.
unfortunately, they managed to miss all major blood vessels. He is in the running to be Doctor Strange, just with a different connotation.
The kid wasn't out of the woods yet.
That's funny, and you can't even say anything.
The authors of the report say the patient was monitored for signs of mercury poisoning, but in subsequent checkups was found to be fine. The report states the patient did not develop clinical signs of chronic poisoning, proving that subcutaneous mercury injection has a low risk of systemic toxicity, and that histopathology plays an important role in diagnosis. And it should go without saying, don't try this at home, kids. Hopefully no kids are watching, although if there are... Okay, Sumis is just reading another question. What is a normal IQ in oh, we shouldn't ask that question. Moving on.
100. By definition, how IQ is set up, 100 is always the standard. Always has been, always will be. Now, maybe that what 100 means, that shifts over the years. Like, 50 years ago,
Is the
110
average...
IQ,
Is the average...
110 IQ would still be 100 today, because we've actually gotten smarter as the years have gone forward. But 100 is always the center.
Yes, but is 100 universally the average from nation to nation?
From nation to nation, no. But it
Yes.
depends. You mean
So,
a,
they said
a
normal.
worldwide
They
IQ?
didn't give a number. They just said it was normal.
Well,
normal.
I mean, like, for instance, the U.S., the average IQ is 110, but if you're doing it on a national level, then, hey, look, it's 100.
Moving on. 3 dead giveaways are dealing with a woke fisher, according to a psychologist. This comes from the rag Forbes magazine online. Namely, they're out to ensure that their readers do not get tricked into dating someone who's only pretending to be insufferable. What do you do when you can't tell if someone is faking their wokeness just to get with you? Social awareness and progressivism have become increasingly important for many people, especially when it comes to dating relationships. Unfortunately, some choose to exploit this trend by pretending to be more socially conscious and woke than they actually are in a bid to attract partners. This is known as woke fishing. Rage. There are other requirements. If there are male feminists, the answer is yes. Probably, almost certainly, yes. And Forbes wants to help decrease the success of the male feminist who apparently expects to pretend to be that sincerely brain damaged for, well, probably no more than a week or two, I imagine. This seems like the sort of wolf in sheep's clothing type of male feminist. No. Sure, we know who's being talked about. They're all over Twitter. The bad news is that it can be frustrating, even harmful for those who are looking for a genuine connection. The good news is it's often easy to see past the deception once you know what to look for. Here are 3 signs that someone you're interested in is likely woke fishing you. Number 1, they seem to agree with you on every aspect of every issue you're passionate about. So remember, woke people, if you're speaking with someone and they seem to agree with you, they're probably lying to you. So, it's a big red flag. If
I'm
you...
the only one who's reminded of, like, the Onion's how to treat schizophrenics video.
That seems like a very solid corollary. Sadly, this isn't satire or parody. They are tragically sincere. Let's just skip to the other bullet points here. 2, they seem to only have a superficial understanding of the issues they claim to care about.
I believe that's 99.5% of the population.
Yes, pretty much. Define superficial. No one really understands everything, even the things they particularly care about. Some people like those things because they don't fully understand them.
Exhibit A.
And I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And tip 3, they are obsessed with their social media presence and are inconsistent with their opinions.
So, teenagers?
Almost everyone on social media.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who ostensibly have a lot of very strongly held feelings, a grasp of what is truly important. They like free speech, except for that speech. And, freedom of agency, but you must do these things. That's... If anyone is disqualifying people because they tip all 3 of these points, then they're going to die alone, and this is the most important part, that's probably for the best. Don't worry, your cats will never tell you you're full of shit. Not that anyone here is in that sort of situation. Everyone here has cats. It's actually cool.
Nah. Depends on the number of cats.
Those of you who aren't here have cats. And yes, indeed, restraint is absolutely important. We have 5 minutes remaining. Should we try to fit another one?
That's what she said.
Well, we have a bit of good news up we can get out of the way. I say it's good news for exactly one reason. This could result in a colossal disaster for some of the worst people. Billionaire George Soros has handed control over his empire to his son, Alex. Billionaire financier George Soros is handing control of his massive empire to his son Alexander, a Soros spokesperson said on Sunday. The spokesman confirmed the details from the interview with Soros published in the Wall Street Journal on Sunday. The hedge fund manager turned philanthropist and major backer of liberal causes, Soros, 92, said he previously didn't want his Open Society Foundation to be taken over by one of his 5 children. But speaking of his decision to turn over the foundation and the rest of his $25 billion empire to his 37-year-old son, who goes by Alex, the elder Soros said he's earned it. Which, I don't know about the rest of you, makes me really worried about what he did to earn it. Also interviewed by a newspaper, Alex said that he's more political than his father and that he plans to continue donating family money to left-leaning U.S. political candidates. He told the Journal that he would broaden the foundation's priorities to include voting and abortion rights as well as gender equity. As much as I would love to get money out of politics, as long as the other side is doing it, we will have to do it too, Alex said. The USF board elected chairman Alex as chairman in December, and Alex now directs political activity as the president of Soros' Political Action Committee. The foundation directs about $1.5 billion a year to groups such as those backing human rights around the world and helping build democracies, the Journal reported. Well, I say this is good news, is because there's absolutely no reason to believe he's competent. He's the spoiled heir of a multi-billionaire who hasn't really done any meaningful work in his life, so there's a pretty good chance he could screw the pooch real hard, real fast. Fingers crossed. That, or Soros found a way to download a copy of his brain into his son. Which could still be net positive, as that technology has to be very cutting edge and is very likely to go very, very south. Okay, well, let's wrap things up, shall we? Tomorrow is the next Arketer from an Autism friendship stream. Friendship Autism stream.
Friendship.
I'm still mulling over what I'm going to do, but as mentioned previously, I'm thinking I'm just going to refine Omegog. But, still open to change. Should we be hit by some inspiration? If Froman should have a brilliant idea, and I can bear to hear him out, maybe it'll be something else. Maybe we'll...
Joe Biden sniffing Alex Soros.
I don't think he's going to be sniffing Alex Soros. But depending on Alex's preferences, there will be the sucking of something involved that is not. Okay. Well then, we're just about done here. Thank you all for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the show, which was complete failure at not quite 13 likes, was it? We almost got there. Almost. Just too short. It's fine. Okay, yeah. Goodbye. Oh, yes, and that is true. He was. And his excuse for it was that if he didn't do it, someone else would have. That he had to, basically, by that logic. Curiously, this is the same logic Yuval Noah and the Web use, determinism, in which they feel that they should do whatever they want to do because they have to, because it's what they gotta. Oh, and apparently we were successful in this final minute. It's just stopped me from crying, eh? I was gonna... Look, the tears wouldn't have escaped anyway. Look, it's appreciated. Until next time, so long as progress continues, success is inevitable. Ostensibly. Did you want to say goodbye, Freeman?
No.